The football story which is set to dominate the sports pages this week is actually at Chelsea. They were beaten 4-2 by Wolves on Sunday. They face a crucial FA Cup clash at Aston Villa during the week. And Mauricio Pochettino, the manager, has himself said he is not safe in his job and he is under pressure. The crowd were booed Chelsea off. They're hardly singing Pochettino's praises. And our man, our senior football reporter, Andy Dillon, a Chelsea correspondent, he was there to see it all. And it's fair to say the Chelsea shambles just gets worse and worse.
Yes, it's certainly entertaining down there, Sean. That was a capitulation and a half yesterday. The interesting thing that struck me was they've had some bad results in recent weeks. They lost at Middlesbrough in the Carabao Cup. They also got thumped by Liverpool last week. And each time Pochettino said those were one-off freak results. Now, that was the third one-off freak result that we've had in the space of about 3 weeks. So I don't know how many one-offs freak results you can have before you start putting yourself seriously in danger of the sack.
Now, you say, although Chelsea are into the Carabao Cup final, you in today's Sun say that Poch should not get measured up for his cup final yet because he may not get to the Carabao Cup final. I know that's a little bit of a joke, but it wouldn't be beyond the bounds of possibility. A former Chelsea boss, Jose Mourinho, was once sacked by Spurs ahead of the Carabao Cup final and was not best pleased about it. Could that happen to Pochettino?
Well, the thing is, all bets are off at Chelsea at the moment. It's such a madhouse. You know, we've had it's not just on the pitch, as I alluded to in the report, it's every aspect of the club is just so different to how it has been. It used to be a ruthless, relentless but successful machine, and it knew where it was going. It's just all over the place at the moment. The players are all over the place. They're so young, some of them are so raw, and there are so few leaders among that squad. And this was all said when the players started arriving in their dribs and drabs, spending £1 billion on kids. You're buying a squad, you know, an expensive squad for potential. What's happened there has transferred into the team. There's no leadership, there's no direction. Pochettino's trying to get a tune out of them. Up above, the transfer policy just seems to be in chaos. So it kind of lends itself to the whole thing is just in meltdown, and that's why we saw the scenes that we did yesterday. They crumbled like a Mary Berry Battenberg.
Indeed. Do Battenbergs crumble particularly?
Mine do. Yeah, mine do.
The fans, actually, it was the first time I'm fully aware that the fans properly turned against Pochettino, in that the Wolves supporters were singing "Sacked in the Morning" and the Chelsea fans joined in. And they were also chanting for Abramovich and wanting all those good days back again. Yes,
I mean, the Abramovich chant's been done before. As soon as they lose a couple of games, the Chelsea fans just want their Russian back with all his money. But the thing with Pochettino is I still think it's been a bit difficult for him because of his history with Tottenham and the rivalry. The fans haven't really warmed to him straight away. They've never sung his name. So this was kind of a turning point, though, when you hear that and you hear the fans finally start to turn on him. It's like they're losing patience. And yeah, he is culpable. So it's kind of an interesting situation that Chelsea fans, they've sung for Thomas Tuchel. They've also sung for Frankie Lampard. They've never sung for Pochettino, and the first song they do sing is that you're getting sacked in the morning.
Of course, it's not just the fans, it's his own players' wives who are against him as well. Thiago Silva's wife tweeted that it's time for change. And I know she has a bit of form. She has been known to get a bit lively with texts and tweets before, but you can't have that. You can't have a player's wife campaigning to have you ousted, surely. Wasn't
it Donald Trump who said it's time for change, or we can change? I think Keir Starmer's been using it as well, so she's clearly taken a leaf out of their books. Belle Silver, yes, she's a very colourful tweet. Just talking to a few people this morning about that tweet, and there's just enough, they say, that she's not directly referencing Pochettino. She said it's time for change. She might be regarding, might mean politics and the general election that's coming up.
Of course she does,
She might mean the manager, it might mean the players, it might mean the owners. It's time for change. It might even mean it's time for Thiago to sort of realise that the game's up and he needs to move on a bit. But a definite inference coming so soon after that game, after which Pochettino apologised and said we're not matching the history of the club. For a senior player's wife and one of the few leaders in that squad to come out with such an acerbic tweet is quite damning.
Of course, it may well be time for change, but change can sometimes mean going back to where you were. And there's a lot of chat around fans of could we have Jose Mourinho back for a third time? He's out of a job, he's left Roma, we're starting to see him in different grounds being photographed. He's certainly making it clear he's around. He still has a home in Chelsea. He would love to come back, wouldn't he?
That would be utterly ludicrous and would make no sense
Great
whatsoever.
fun,
So if there's one man that's going to do it and one club that's going to do it, it's Chelsea and it's Jose Mourinho. So at the moment, it's almost like they're on a collision course for a third try at this marriage. I wouldn't put it past them. I think the fans would like it back. I think there's a lot of bad blood, to be fair, between the Chelsea fans and Jose. The last 2 times he's been back, he's got quite a bit of stick. He ended up giving them the 3-fingered salute with the amount of Premier League titles.
Because of him being at Man United?
Yes, there was. I think he was in the dugout. Yeah, and he was in the dugout, and he's up to his usual tricks, gesticulating and being quite animated. And the Chelsea fans got a bit fed up with it. He, in return, replied with the 3 fingers to remind them how many Premier Leagues he won for them. But Jose's one of those characters. You hate him when he's on the other team. But if you said to a Chelsea fan now, would you like Jose back? I think they'd probably say they'd take it with open arms, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. I mean, all would be forgiven. And deep down, they know that Jose, he's synonymous with Chelsea. He is Chelsea. I know he always says he loves every club whenever he goes to manage them. But they are sort of joined at the hip. Their good history, if you like, is synonymous with Mourinho.
Yes, he is. He's synonymous with Roman Abramovich as well, though. That's the thing. And this is meant to be a new Chelsea. I also think that if Mourinho's got any sense, he'll look at that squad and see that Thomas Tuchel, Graham Potter, Frank Lampard and now Mauricio Pochettino are failing to get a tune out of them. So he's thinking, am I walking into that place now? Am I going to walk in and inherit that squad that's just a bunch of duds? Am I going to get anything out of them? Because if you remember, they've spent a lot of money, so they can't spend their way out of this come the summertime. Despite what people might think, if they're going to try and sell a few players, the value of those players that they bought has plummeted, and then they're going to have to try and refresh that squad. But how can they do that with the profit and sustainability rules coming in and biting hard like they are at teams like Newcastle?
Yes, people like yourselves have to become accountants and work out what it all means. But the future looks grim for Chelsea, given all those restrictions on them. So is Pochettino the man who's going to dig them out of it, or is he not going to survive?
Well, he's got this fabulous reputation for working with young players, hasn't he? I think that's the one ingredient that he brought to Chelsea. So, he brought on that Tottenham team as he did. So, I think he's got a 2-year contract. He's got another year after this season. I think he gets to the summer, and I think he then makes a decision whether he thinks he can actually do something with them. What he's got to do is sort out not the power struggle, but the policy decisions up top, the transfers. I mean, only last month in January, the story with Armando Broja, up for sale on January the 1st at 50 million quid. February the 1st, he goes for a loan that's 4 million, lowering to 0 if he plays 60% of the matches. So it's hardly a kind of a transfer policy that's going to be raking in the cash for Pochettino to spend big in the summer.
And just finally, will a Carabao Cup keep people off his back, keep the owners satisfied, make the fans think, oh, maybe there is a future here?
Well, it gets you into Europe, doesn't it? And apparently he's safe while there's a chance of getting into Europe. And it's the Europa Conference League. You have to take what you can get. I mean, I'm sure the Chelsea fans will see it as beneath them, like they did the Europa League back in the day. But this is a totally different Chelsea. People have got to get that in their heads. This is not the Chelsea of Abramovich, where they could just walk into the training ground, they can still walk in and sack somebody, but then they've got to be careful of their spending, and they've got to be careful about what they're doing up above. It's a long-term process, this, and they were all about the long-term when they first come in, and I think already it's starting to bite that this long-term isn't quite working out the way they wanted it to.